We're back at Bridges, and we are continuing with the discussion, entitlement mentality. Last week, we did discuss on why we have these growing phenomenon called entitlement mentality. We also recognized that it is a problem that is beginning to shape up as an epidemic, and we need to curb it or contain it, as the doctors would say. So on Bridges today, that's what we intend to do with our guests who are here. Some are very familiar on Bridges, and well, yes, all of them are quite familiar on Bridges. And let's quickly have this introduction from my extreme left. I have, of course, with us Ngozi Ikenga, who just finished her term as the chair of FIDA in Abuja. Thank you for coming again, and thank you for all the support we got from you.
Thank you, Auntie.
Yes. And Solomon Adado, you're back again. You've been here before.
Very
Thank
well.
you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for coming. Now, we keep saying in the women's arena that she got her mandate stolen, but she's still keeping alive.
Sure.
And you're welcome again on Bridges.
It's always a pleasure being on Bridges.
So as we look forward to 2023, we hope you get there then.
Thank you.
Right. And of course, the man who works and has committed his life, so to speak, to working with Nigerian youths, it's Obinna Urakpa. Obinna, you're welcome. He has, yes, he regularly, we call him the big brother of Bridges. And so that's it. The conversation will continue quickly. We have recognized that we have a problem that is attaining an epidemic proportion, and we are calling this entitlement mentality. Now, so this episode, let's start thinking about solution, because we are building a bridge, and we want a bridge that is sustainable, that will build a better society. Now, I'll go to our immediate past chairperson of FIDA. Well, ma'am, we have recognized that we have a problem. So going forward, what do we need to do as a nation, as individuals, to ensure that people work hard for what they get and do not expect that people should do things for them, and so that we don't fall into this entitlement mentality?
Yes, the way to go is just changing our mindset.
How?
From I to us. It shouldn't be I am entitled to this, I am entitled to this, I am entitled to that. It is we. And what do I do to become a better person, without even depending on what my parents must give to me because they are my parents? Especially our children that mixes up in school with the children of the big, let's call them like that. Like there was a day my daughter came back from school and said, "Daddy, I need a car." And my husband said, "Well, when I was in secondary school like you, even when I entered the university, I'll come back from school, I will hug this, I will sell this for my mom, I will sell this." And she came to me, she said, "Mommy, what does Daddy mean? Does he want me to hug the way he hugged?" I said, "Well, if need be, you do. There's nothing wrong in it. We must all come together to make it work. If you want your family to live large, to live big, like the people you meet in school, then all hands must be on deck to do it. It mustn't be only daddy and mommy, unless you don't want to see your parents grow old." So we must have this paradigm shift from I am entitled, it's my entitlement, government must provide this, my parents must provide it. So what can we all do to achieve way forward?
To get there?
Yes.
Solomon, what are we hearing from your constituency,
Well,
the youths?
Well, thank you very much, Ma. You see, like we know, the entitlement mentality is a challenge presently, and finding a trajectory, a solution, a pathway out of it is something that we wouldn't just say we get a one-fit-all solution, because it's a challenge that comes from multiple roots. And this entitlement mentality, I dare tell you, that is the source, the root of crimes that we have had in society. Kidnappings, armed robbery, and all of these crimes, they come as a result of this entitlement mentality. And if we need to solve it entirely, we will have to go back to the roots again. In going back to the roots, we'll look at our laws. That's on the one hand. In looking at our laws, we'll look at how can we put merit? How can we place premium on merit so that individuals who have worked for something get their dues of what they've worked for? Then we will also come to the area of reorientation, you know, so that everyone who aspires to get something should know that there is a price to pay for that thing you aspire to get. You see, and then much more than anything, those who are in leadership and those who aspire to leadership, because it's a two-way thing. We have the young men who are aspiring to leadership, and we have those who are already in leadership. Those who are in leadership should lead accountably and should lead in a fair and transparent manner, should fulfill the mandate, the purpose for which they've been appointed, elected, or for whatever.
So leadership by example.
Leadership by
That's
example.
where we're going.
Yes, that's
and that will help.
Yes.
Hard work.
Yes.
That will help.
Hard work
Merit.
of the young.
That would help.
Yes.
That would go a long way to help. Yes, you I mean, recently you were able to crisscross at the local government level. Do you see this mentality up, the entitlement mentality? Did you get that sense when you were in campaign, for example?
Not just even getting the sense, is that I'm a victim, not even the survivor. I just want to really thank yourself, the Bridge team, for bringing this up. And I'd like to see a situation where the first episode, this second episode, will call a national meeting and sit. Because it's not just assuming a monumental epidemic. It has gone full-blown and is blowing on all of us. I say so because I couldn't be a survivor of this entitlement mentality, because the breakdown of values, the bad governance, the bad electoral process had made many people to be unrealistically expectant of what people can never do for them. And the victims of this and the survivors are women. That's why this program will benefit women more than any human being in this country. So if we can reform, if we can visit our value system, go back and begin to teach it, we'll not leave it to women, because this is the bane of corruption, this is the bane of all the bad things we are seeing, the prostitution, denying women of tickets because they expect that as a woman, the political principalities, or they expect that you should be part of their fringe benefit. That is their expectation. How can the woman become a fringe benefit, a whole human being wanting to serve? So this is our personal experience as women in politics. The expectation is so much. They will almost expect you to even sell your property, sell your children, if it's possible, sell your husband and other extended family to bring money into politics. So the entitlement mentality has grown very large, that if we don't look at it, you can see that people cannot even travel easily. You can't even move out of your house. You can't receive call easily. Too many things are not happening. People cannot worship easily. People cannot go to market. They cannot associate. So it has degenerated our social life, our economic life, our spiritual life. So we need to look at it together. And it's breeding
lies, you know,
yes.
Because
so much,
because people just call. These days, people, when you receive calls from home, they just send you. In fact, they don't call anymore. They just send you account details. Yeah, send us this. You know, they feel entitled that you are here enjoying the.
They even intimidate you.
Yeah,
they threaten you.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. We'll get to that. Yeah. Now let's hear from you, Obina. Let's get some feedbacks.
Okay, I'd like to take a position, be a bit balanced, but I'll take a position quickly on behalf of the youths. The long and short of it is that the youths did not fall from the sky. Chinua Achebe said, if you don't know where the rain started beating you, you won't know where it stopped. Like my brother said, there's an origin to everything. My people will tell you that when the mother goat is eating grass, the children look at the mouth. The young ones, like Madam said over there, look up to the older generation. I'm a student of history. I borrowed history for 4 years. My father was a history lecturer. I can tell you authoritatively that we heard, some of us met part of, that in your generation, Auntie Moji, you had Quaker oats in the morning, you had eba with half chicken in the afternoon, and then you had tea assorted. I can tell the UI My dad was in UI Kuti Hall, and they had almost everything. In those days, we also heard that when there was no money for school fees, they cut the palm tree and they sold palm oil and they paid school fees for a group of people for school fees. We also heard, to be fair to your generation, that you hawked and you trekked several kilometers, 15 kilometers to school. We heard. Well, let's also consider, and your generation needs to consider to us, that we looked up to you to mentor our generation. But maybe because you didn't want us to suffer, which is nothing bad. To be fair to your generation, you bought your 504 GR from PAN. And then you, rather than allowing some of us to trek to school, deal with the security situation so we could trek safely like you trekked safely during your time. Security broke down. After the Civil War, things went awry, corruption set in, people practically took the national patrimony into their pockets, so the police was not taken care of, the security formations were not taken care of, so security broke down. So even in my time, if you want the truth, I have 2 children. I am not in a hurry to let them trek from where we live to school. Because there's kidnapping going on, there's robbery going on, ritual murder, and these are not hidden. But let's move forward from there. What is the way forward? I want to assure you that if you are having palpitation, reduce the palpitation. There is hope. In the sense that we are in the age of disruption. The age of, permit me to begin to call about the call taxis, permit me to call a few brand names where you can stay in your house and use an app and call a taxi and they come speak you. Let me give you some hope. Some young people at the ages of 7, 8, 9 are beginning to do coding. So technology is helping for us to participate in the global economy. But if the truth be told, the young people in Nigeria and most of the 54, 55 countries in Africa are not happy with your generation, Auntie. And then this is not casting aspersions to you as an individual.
Okay.
But the fact that that generation ran the race, and we are still in a generation where people in your generation, Auntie, 60s, 70s, and 80s, are still running for councillorship. And I watch TV for House of Reps, a place where young people are supposed to use their eyeball to eyeball and use their intellect to fight, not physical fisticuffs. But we still see old men of 60s and 80s debating with young people who should be deliberating on the future of Nigeria when Emmanuel Macron became president at 39. So these are issues the young people are asking questions of the older generation. When is the future that you promised us that we should take over? The youth of tomorrow.
Does this dovetail into the entitlement decadence that we see
yes,
today?
so but let me give you some hope.
Yes.
The fact that, yes, there is a point where we actually are entitled to certain things from the generation that went ahead of us because they collected from generation that went ahead of them. So we expect a certain basic minimum. Those values were broken down by the generation that left just before we joined them. And then, that having been said, we are not going to fall into the stream because that generation failed. We have taken responsibility. Rest your mind on that. In the sense that technology is helping us, the Facebook generation, the Generation Y, we took over from the baby boomers. I can assure you that we have young people, including in Nigeria, who are writing books, who are doing coding, who are creating apps, who are beginning to do their own things. And in fact, I can assure you that any income for Nigeria, and they are not waiting for this generation to give them jobs. Because as far as we are concerned, the whatever trillion budget that's created, as far as we are concerned, the 9.12 trillion budget at the rate of 360 naira to a dollar was just $23 billion. And then I can tell you that Apple is $150 billion worth, meaning that Apple is richer than Nigeria. We're not looking at this budget. I can assure you that this generation is looking forward. We're sorting our lives out.
If you're sorting your lives out, that is the way to go. Because the baby boomers that you refer to also struggled to lift the level at which they found themselves. And they did, majority of them
did very well, ma.
Did very well.
Yes.
And I don't think there was a stop to it. It was supposed to be a continuum. And so because the baby boomers themselves take the blame of, did I over pamper? Is that what is the problem? Because you have everything, as it were. But are you saying to me, before I leave Obina, that 60 and above should go back home and, and not contribute to national development? I'm just asking.
They should get to the point where they become advisors and not participants and active players in the system. When are we going to take charge of leadership?
Okay. Then when you show some seriousness, let's hear from you.
I think flowing from what he said, parents should also help us in this manner. by not going into unhealthy competition. You see, like now I will say, Auntie Ernest's children rides on a Rolls Royce to school. So my own children must go on the latest, even when it's not convenient. So we have not allowed our children to know the level at which we operate and which will give them footing to, in case tomorrow they don't find their parents, so that they can stand on their own. Even when parents are there, it's so annoying that even some of us at the age of 70, your young children brings your grandchildren to you without nanny to attend to those children. At that 70 age, you are still running around with these kids because you're pampering your children. And they're killing you, having suffered for 70 years, and at 70 you are still doing what they should do. You are the one still giving your children money to feed. You are the one paying house rent and all that. When will these children grow up and stand?
Yes.
So parents should help.
Parents should help, yes?
Okay, thank you very much, ma. You see, this sense of entitlement has subjected society to what's called a deadly embrace. You see, where things were working and we had expectations, and the expectations forged other attributes that made people slack into laziness. Picking from what my brother said, Obina, you see, it is not wrong to have an entitlement mentality, but how can we redirect our energies? How can we build from there? If we have a sense of entitlement, it will also throw another challenge on us, that if you expect this, then there is also a commensurate task, duty bounded on you to ensure that you play that role to get this. So these are factors that we need to begin to look at. And then also coming to our young Nigerians, we should challenge ourselves beyond the borders of the failures of the past generation. If they have failed, we must not sit back in our armchairs and say, oh, they've messed things up. We can pick ourselves from the ruins and rubbles, look at what others are doing globally, in terms of technology, in terms of creativity. That's where world is today.
Wow.
Explore it. The horizon is boundless, is wide. It's just for us to translate our potentials to productivity.
Our potentials to productivity. You agree with that?
Excellent.
I agree with him absolutely. When we have meetings, our generation, and I agree with you, we respect your opinion. We also are happy that you're able to speak out. I don't accept a situation where you find older people not being patient in terms of mentoring younger people productively as well as sincerely. Because if you mentor the younger people and you are not sincere, you make them vulnerable, or you make the system or the processes vulnerable, it means they will not have the trust. Then this issue of the entitlement mentality will still linger on. There's an aspect of the entitlement mentality. It looks minute, but it's very serious. We know too that I keep saying that it's women. It's not because I'm in that constituency. Even as little as cooking in the house for the family, you find sometimes, even if the woman's body is aching, the whole family expect that, why shouldn't food be ready? Sometimes if you have an alternative, because there are alternatives, you could go to a good restaurant, or you get an auntie to support you to cook. They still insist, and when you even cook, they enjoy the food so well. If they eating out, they can give tips, they so commend the person. But because it is in the house, the commendation is not there. So even as little as that is, so we also need that attitude of gratitude and respect. You know, that is going back to our values now. So I agree with him absolutely. We are grateful, and thank you, Antimoji, for bringing young and older generation. So the solution here is still that we should continue to have a discussion, that we have strategic action, so that we agree on how a plan of intergenerational succession that we can give way while they take the platform and we support them. It's important.
Yes, Sabina.
Okay,
you've cooled down
Let
now.
me cool down now.
So the reality is bouncing on you.
He has calmed me now. But note this, that I hear that history is being reintroduced in schools. So we need to know where we used to be. And our generation, we are ready to listen to you. We want to learn. And like you said, mentorship, we're ready. We want to learn. We're already having, some of us are already having our own children. So we'll also want our children to respect us. We respect you. We are looking up to you to tell us what to do. point us in the way. You know, so that's one. Next one is that I want you to rest, and I insist that globally we want to be like our mates out there. So anybody that wants to fold their arms, don't worry. The hunger that will come to them is still doing press up. If anybody that wants to go and fold their arms, a little sleep, a little slumber, I can tell you that I'm not folding my arms. Like the Yorubas will say, 20 children born the same year can never play together for 20 years. So it's the 80-20 rule. 20% of your efforts will give you 80% of your productivity. So I encourage every young person to understand that no fine girl will marry you if you don't work hard. I love you is about how much you can put on the table. After the wedding, there's a marriage to run. So like young people, you must understand that whether male or female, we must put our hands on the table. Nigeria belongs to us, and I don't need a visa to come in here. I still love the green, white, green.
Thank you. Well, I think that sums it up. And in coming to a close on this conversation, on this episode of Bridges, entitlement mentality has become an epidemic which all of us must fight. It's important for us to fight. There are opportunities out there, but because a lot of us, particularly the youths, sits back and expects daddy and mommy to go get it for them, will not work. We need also, like Obina said, that this is our country. Nobody is going to build it for us. It must be us by us for us. And until, of course, we grow into that mentality, even if you don't get it at home, you can learn from your friends. And mentorship has become an imperative here too. Well, the baby boomers, you got the bad end of the stick on this program today. So I think it's a wake-up call to say that you need to mentor one. Take one and one will take another, and the chain and the bridge will become so solidified that together we will build a better a society where entitlement mentality turns into a gain, not into a loss that we have today. And is it achievable?
It's achievable.
Is it doable?
Doable.
Are we moving on?
Yes,
So we are moving on with it on Bridges, and we hope that our viewers out there will join us, that we're going to turn around the table. We are going to do a reversal. The entitlement will be entitlement for good governance, entitlement for a good country, and entitlement for behavioral change that will take us to the next level. Thanks for watching, and thank you all, my guests, for being part of this. We'll be back again sometime next week on Bridges.